Hey Periscope, how are you today? Happy Tuesday. Hey, I saw y'all had it right there on push. I don't know who just joined us, but welcome. We're going to wait for some more people to come on because I did send a mass through Instagram, through Twitter, and through Facebook for people to come on and join us because I think you're really going to like this topic. So we're going to wait for some people. I don't know who joined us, but hey, how are you? Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being on, being a friend. You can let me know where you're from if you want to, since you're the only one on here. Just go ahead and join me. Invite someone because I really think you're going to like this. I saw my broadcast yesterday and I made sure I wore a shirt that was a little bit more higher because I had too much cleavage going on. Yes, I did. I'm going to be reading from, I just finished eating lunch, so if I'm doing all that. Hey, welcome, Ruski P. Mac. How you doing? Where you coming in from? Where are you from? Can you tell me? And I need some lip gloss too. Not lip gloss, but lip balmer. You know, I see a lot of people put on makeup and all that stuff to do their Periscope. And I feel so bad because I'm going to be me. I'm going to be real. And listen, when I get remarried again, whoever married me going to have to see me this way and see me in my pretty, but I'm pretty either way. So I'm not going to do that. But listen, I want you to just send me some hearts and click on some hearts. We're waiting for a few more people. I'm not going to wait too long because I'm going to get into this lesson. Yesterday, we had an awesome Bible study. And yesterday at 12 o'clock, we had an awesome discussion. I just wanted to talk and say hi to everyone. And we really got into the discussion of the stages of love and why do we walk into the same welcome. I see someone else just came on. Why do we walk into the same relationships and stuff? And I wanted to discuss it more with you on why this happens and the stages of love. And when I say stages of love, this means that our children, and I have my computer in front of me, so I'm going to go through some things. I did promise you to bring this to you, so this is the time you want to invite some people because you're going to get some nuggets that's going to really impact you and make you think. Now, I am a woman of God, and as you know, and I'm not going to, like I said, I try not to be super spiritual. Sometimes I do get there when people try to speak something contrary to what my father said. But I'm going to bring you practical applications to apply to your life. And I want you to say that. Practical applications to apply to your life. Now, stages of love is based on what the stages that you're supposed to be learning as you are growing in adulthood. And what that means is from birth to adolescent, from birth to adulthood, there's certain stages that you're supposed to be learning. And we as parents or your parent was supposed to be administrating. And if you didn't have an actual parent, it also has to do with a guardian. The person, a caretaker, the person that was taking care of you. But if they don't know this, there's things that happen. We call it sometimes post-trauma, or we call it actual, post-trauma. And we also call it from post-trauma to a tragedy that happens. And it's a tragedy in your life that makes it stop. So basically, yesterday we were talking, and some people started asking, well, why do I go and fall into the same trap? And we broke it down. I just want to put this plug in. We are doing a deliverance workshop tomorrow, and I'm excited about it. And I'm going to try to plug everybody in for the deliverance workshop so you can know what's going on, so you can understand what deliverance is. But I am so excited. I just heard somebody else just broadcasting coming on. But let me explain stages of love. Stages of love is, there are 6 stages. And from the 6 stages, And this is what I taught a little last night on our Bible study, of how sin enters in, how we get off track. And as if you are Christian, or you're following a belief or a faith, and you're now fading away from it, this is what happens, how it enters in, because of these stages. I have, and say, okay, I'm going to show you my computer. This is my new book. It's called Behavior of the Soul. So I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to let you see my computer. I hope you saw that. But what you saw was, this is a diagram from my Begin Parenting from the Inside Out. And this is our actual module we use to help parents. Now, it is designed as a spiritual module and not a religious module, but a spiritual module. And you can put the principles of the kingdom in here. If you don't know what a kingdom is, and if you've just joined, a kingdom is a ruler. We have a king that rules the domain. So, and they have the authority. They legislate, and they make the mandates over the actual location that they're ruling. Well, our kingdom is heaven, and that's where our God is, and that's where I believe in the Trinity, the Holy Trinity. So now, let's say we're now I'm going to go through your 6 stages. The first stage is birth to 4 years old, and that has to do with self. And I'm just going to run it off roughly, because we're going to have an in-depth actual parenting class and I'll say self-improvement. And I've heard people say, well, you can't improve yourself without God. Well, if you don't know you don't even know yourself. So this is one of the reasons why we don't acknowledge God, because we're hearing the stories of him, and like the stories of your ancestors, but do you really know your ancestors? So first thing is to see yourself, and then how you see yourself is how you're going to see God. That's a nugget right there. So the first one, and let me break this down. From stage 1 to 3 is called concrete thinking. Concrete thinking is black and white, where everybody sees things in black and white. That's it. That's why when people come on, or people go into the church, they can't see any gray areas. They see the black and white. So some people become super spiritual. Some people don't even connect to the spirit. Some people just go with the motion, because they only see things in black and white. They can't get any further. There is no gray area. And your gray areas is from 12 to adulthood. And that's the abstract thinking. And that's where you think outside of the box. You know, I will always look at Jesus as an abstract thinker, because he challenged everything, because he already knew. But sometimes we walk around think we know a thing, and we don't humble ourselves to open up to a new thing. And this is why we get stuck. Again, that's a concrete thinker. That's a black and white thinker. Now, stage 1, birth to 4 years old, self. You're learning yourself. You're learning that ego, that man carry. We're actually learning how to love ourselves, and we're because love is being administered to us. We're being kissed, we're being hugged. We talked about that before. Pleasing others, that's stage 2. Pleasing others is from 5 to 7 years old. Now, when you're 5 to 7 years old, it's said to live in a stable environment. You can move, but start building structure and stability. 5 to 7 years old, they're learning gratitude. Thank you. You now learn how to say thank you. You now, and I would listen. I do all kinds of things when I'm out here, so don't mind me. You're now saying thank you, and I'm gonna see if I could turn this around so you could follow the chart. Let's see. Trying to make sure that I am looking and trying to do this, but 5 to 7 years old. I hope you can see the chart. Can you see the chart? Yeah, I think I could see where you can see the chart now. But 5 to 7 years old, you're now learning how to please others. You're now learning gratitude, thank you, and please, and everything. And just learning how to, oh yeah, you got a good shot. Learning how to, I'm going to turn it back around. Learning how to just even learn how to please yourself and appreciate yourself. Okay. Then you have the third stage, and that's fairness. And fairness is 7 to 11. You know what's fair. You know what's right. You know what's wrong. When you cheat in a game, you know not to cheat because you know to be fair. Play fair. And that has to do a lot with your righteousness. So we're going to break this down biblically one day. Then you have stage 4. Your stage 4 is from 12 to 15 years old. And now remember, those 3 was concrete thinking. That's your black and white thinking. Before I go any further, let's talk about the black and white thinking. These stages has to be conquered to come into an abstract thinking. If these stages are you go through some trauma, or if something happened through these stages, there is consequences behind it, and sometimes statistic and man say, and not even man say, because there's laws, there's spiritual laws, there's mental law, and there's physical laws that will happen. So there's laws that you're jumping out of these stages and major things happen. So let's say the first stage, self, we look at the prostitute, something go wrong, something major happened in their life. So you're not looking at the prostitute because she doesn't know how to love herself. The manipulator, you're looking at the drug dealer, so on, and the con artist. So you're now looking at the pleasing others, stage 2. Something goes wrong, and now the codependent, the enabler. It's called a learned behavior, and whatever we learn, we do. And that's why I said we are a sponge. Then the fairness, if it's fairness gone wrong, fairness that you, once again, you cheat on everything. You're going to cheat on this, you're going to cheat on that. I would say even the third stage, when you look at someone that has a actual addiction of cheating, and addiction goes even further, but a cheating person, they don't know how to play fair. They don't know how to commit to something. So these are the 3 stages that keeps you in a box. It keeps you in bondage. It keeps you in a black and white thinking. Now we're going to go to the abstract thinking, and we're going to go to the law and order. Stage 4 is law and order. Those are the police officers. Those are the lawyers. Those are the ones that have got to this stage and they want to make justice right. That's 12 to 15 years old. Now let's say something like this go wrong. What we see when we see corruption. Let's go there. When we see corruption, and when we see the corruption to the point where it's out of control, and if you go back down to the other stages, something went wrong down there, fairness, pleasing other, or self. They got to the law and order, but now they put it in the way they want to understand it, how they understand it, and that becomes our law. What do I mean by that? Let's talk about here in Texas. In Texas, there is a mayor here, and the mayor wants to actually make it where everyone can use the same bathroom. When they first voted for her, they didn't know that she was she was, I think it's a lesbian, and she had a lesbian lover, and they didn't know her lifestyle. Well, I'm not putting down anybody's lifestyle, and I had my own problems back in the times, but I don't believe in that. I'm not putting that down, but my thing is that, and I know what the Bible says, and I stand on it, and I'm not going to quote scriptures and stuff and point fingers, but that whole thing right there, something went wrong. Something went wrong in her life. It is actually said that homosexuals go through either molestation or rape. And hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us, Party Laura. Yeah, send me some love, send me some hearts. And we're talking about stages of love. Thank you for joining us. And we're talking about we're here talking about the stages of love we're supposed to learn when we were children. So I'm going to get back into my topic. If you could go ahead and replay this is going to be really interesting to you. So I was talking about, our when we see a homosexual lifestyle, most of the time they have been violated. There's some kind of violation that happened. I was violated. I wanted to, go to that type of sex and because I felt safe. Well, something happened through these stages, that self, that pleasing others, that fairness. Something happened there. And now what she's doing is bringing her law and order in ordinance to what she believes people should live. This is why it's kind of dangerous. And this is why when we see police officers and we're seeing the violence that is out there towards individuals, and when people get power in their hand, they say they take a psychological test, but it's even deeper than that. The psychological test, I can always cover up my mindset because I've already mastered that test. So I'm going to say the right things to get into the place that I desire the most. That's why I said that we're teaching deliverance, because these things carry on with you and you carry it on into your actual profession. If you're a pastor, if you're a psychologist, any profession, any career you climb up in the totem pole that's man-made, scientists is always out there. It's not all bad things scientists do, but they're always out there looking for something to better or prove there isn't a God. I love science. I know the difference, and I know God made everything, but I know the balance of it. Now, let's go to ethics. Now, when that happens, ethics are, you can accept everyone, you're ethical, and I accept you. You're black, you're white, you're Chinese, you have different cultures. I can accept your culture, but when ethics go wrong, that's 15 on up, you're now seeing the Iraqians, the Muslims, the ISIS, the people like ISIS that comes in, the Ku Klux Klan. My country is better than your country. My people is better than your people. That's your ethics gone wrong. So these are the stages that we're seeing. And I always say this word wrong. I do apologize if I'm saying universality. That's the adult stage. Now, we grow. And what did I say about the abstract thinking? That's the gray areas. But once we grow, and these stages are actually we go through some, again, postpartum trauma. These stages become warped and contaminated. So that's the stages of love. And how now do we make the shift? Because what happens is we're fighting, we're pulling between two things. Your flesh is pulling you backwards, and then the spirit is pulling you forward. So how do we make that shift through our stages, the stages of love? A lot of us operates, and we're going to break down this whole actual chart module of fear and love. Do you know that we do not know how to identify when we're in fear? That's something that we're going to talk about. We don't know how to identify fear. So, making a shift in yourself. Before you can make the shift, like I said, before you can even, people say, I love God. You don't love God? What's wrong with you? Well, guess what? Do you know who God is? Because guess what? God lives inside of you. And if you see God in the imperfection and the dysfunction of how you see yourself, or you see yourself higher and mightier than others. I was watching something about Scientology, and Leah, I forgot her last name. She used to play on Kings and Queen. They were taught they were superior. Well, no one's superior over our Father. You've just made yourself a God. But if you don't know no better, you ain't going to do better. How do you know that? It's supposed to be a balance. When Jesus said, I am the Father are one, he didn't say I'm better than the Father. He didn't say that. They had to work together because he know where his strength came from. So when you see that and you're like, okay, something's wrong. I'm living in fear and I keep on doing the same thing over and over again. It's because we think we're loving when we're really fearing. There's two primary emotions, love and fear. You're either in one or the other. Now, I kind of hear it saying, it tells you to fear God. Okay, but fearing God is a reverence. Fearing, I'm going to show you the difference between a fearing of God and a fearing of man. And I'm going to show you the making a shift. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back around again. And I hope you can see it. This is making the shift, and this has to do, again, with the parenting book. And I'm doing this and we're like, okay, I hope you can see it. But the parenting book, and maybe if I should take my cover off. The only reason why I'm doing it like that because my cover is on. And I'm going to take my cover off, and I'm going to flip it around so I know you're seeing it. See, there you go. It's a little thing, but I hope you see it. Okay. And the reason why, and I lost the difference between fearing man and fearing God. Fearing man is when you are afraid of what man is going to think and not what God's going to think. Fear of God is fearing not doing what God has asked you to do. Now, he don't condemn you, but he convicts you. Man has a conviction of the fear. God has a conviction of the fear. Man has a condemn. And just like Satan, he condemns what you do. So you feel condemnation, that is not of God. You feel convicted. Guess what? Conviction has to do with a part of love. Because now you have a conscience of what you're doing. So now listen to this. To make the shift in yourself, you first now have to go from fear to love. How do we go from fear to love? Now this is from the chart. From fear to love is conditional love. From fear has conditions. Love has unconditional. Unconditional love. So anytime you hear of conditions, you think of fear. Anytime you think of love, think unconditional. The next is when you are in your old self, you look to others for self-worth. But when you're in your new self, internal worth of self-worth. Now, I hear a lot of people and give you misconceptions, talking about, oh, you can't have self this and self. Okay, there is a sense of self-righteousness. Righteousness comes from God. But when you know thyself, again, let's go back to the scripture. I am the Father are one. When God made man, he said it was good. And it was in his image and his likeness. He said, though you are little God, I'm giving you different scriptures, but you are not the main God. So if I have God living inside of me and I'm now abusing me, I'm now doing things and hurting me and doing things out of context of what God will not do to me. Obviously, I don't know me. Because if I sit in an abusive relationship, if I abuse myself, if I I don't know why I just said masturbate, but if I do all that, and I don't know who's masturbating, but if you do that, that's abuse to your body. You're desensitizing yourself. So, and you will not be sensitive to the Spirit. So this is what it means. Don't get it twisted. We twist around words. We talk out. If our context is wrong, our conclusion is wrong. And what we do, we twist around things we really don't know about. But we go into study and study to show thyself approve. You approve, a workman unto God. And you can send me an email, bridgetnorvell@gmail.com. Matter of fact, go to Bridget Norvell, exactly how it's spelled, .com, bridgetnorvell.com, and send me a little note or a message if you want to talk to me, or tweet me. Now, the next step is lacking boundaries in relationship. And then that's the old. You're making a change now to respecting personal boundaries. That's lacking in relationships because you're lacking boundaries. You don't respect that person. You don't respect their personal space. You don't respect their you just don't respect them. You don't respect anything about them. When you don't respect someone, you treat them any way you want to. And that's how you're treating yourself. Until you respect people's personal boundaries. Respecting people's personal boundary is now respecting yourself. I want you to think about that. You're now respecting yourself, because I would not, that's that do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. Those are the boundaries. That's the setting the boundaries. Next one is resisting change to embracing change. The old you will resist change because you've been damaged. You've went through, remember, the stages have been messed up, but now you want to change. So you resist change, and then now to embracing change. Change comes every day. Guess what? You're going to get gray hairs. You're going to get wrinkles. We don't wrinkle that quick. But your body is going to change. It's not stopping change. We're the one within our mind that stops the change. So this is why it's a constant fight. And this is why the change that we need to recognize, that we need to make, we resist. It's not people don't want to change, they resist change. So this is why you have to now make up your mind if you're going to resist it or cooperate with it. Because the universe, your body, the planet, it's always changing. Seasons change, but we fight change. Blaming others. That's another old one. Your old you. You want to blame everyone else instead of taking responsibility. You get to a time in your life that, yes, I know that I actually went through a trauma, a postpartum tragedy, and it stunted my growth. But when you are growing and you are maturing, you're into your road of perfection, you're perfecting. You are now looking at growing into maturity. A mature person doesn't look at the person, what the person did, but what I could have done better, or what it is that I've learned from it. There's times that you couldn't do something better for that particular person, but what did you learn from it? Don't blame others. Look at yourself. Next one is moralism and to having compassion. Can you be compassionate? Can you have compassion? What is it that you're holding on to, and that's living through the law that it's supposed to be like this, or to having, let me have some compassion for this person because I'm thinking, let me think what they're going through. The next one is black and white thinking and living ambiguity. And I hope I said that right. Like I said, I am Jamaican, and I could say some words sometime, and I'm like, okay, I know I didn't say that right. So I am going to do what I normally do, my favorite dictionary.com, and I have them pronounce the word for me. So, okay, let's make sure, because I don't want people say, oh, she said that wrong, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? I really don't care, because ambiguity. Okay, so that's the word, and that's what I just said. And ambiguity. Okay, so now that means when ambiguity is done, doubtfulness or uncertainty, or means intense, unclear. Now, I would say they said living with ambiguity, because nothing is always right. You look at a gray area. That's a gray area. That look at it as, okay, what can I learn from this? What is it? Can I see more? Because I'm doubtful. I can't see it black and white all the time. This is how I see it, and this is how it's supposed to be. What is it? Let's put some doubt in it. Maybe this isn't true. Maybe this is true. That's what we need to do, because you keep yourself open. The next one is focusing on the past or the future and focusing on the present. Oh, how many of us do that? How many of us focus on the past? We go back to the past. Now, don't get me wrong. I talk about my past, but my past is not part of my past to stay in my past. It's for me to see what I can do better in my future. Think about that. How many of us live in the past? Past keeps unforgiveness. Past keeps you in bitterness. Yeah. So we are so lost in the past, we cannot live in the present. It didn't even say go into the future. Yeah, we could plan for the future. Write the vision, make it plain, so those who read it, they can run with it. Okay? Paraphrasing. All right. But the present. A lot of times things happen to us, and we see things happen, like we burn up the food, we leave the baby in the car, the people that leave the babies in the car, in the shopping cart, we forget where we parked our car because we're not here in the present. We are so far gone into what we need to do, we don't concentrate on what we're doing now. That's a good one. And I think that will be a whole actual topic on living in presence. And I'm gonna suggest a book. I love Eckhart Tolle, and he said The Power of Now, and he has one called The New Earth. The New Earth is actually talking about the conscious mind, being conscious